Hey, Dave Billson again, talking about how we work. And as I mentioned yesterday, I like to talk about how we work. One of our ground rules in our workshops is tell your own story versus telling the story of others. So it's a story I know best, and that's why I'm telling it, not necessarily to brag or to tell people that they should do it exactly the way that we do it, but more as a way of having a conversation. So yesterday, well, technically Tuesday, I talked about the first core value that we have and how we do our work, which is do good. The second one is a core value of listen, learn, deliver. And what's important with that one is to understand is that there's three components. They all work together, but I think we're going to break those apart into three different segments. Otherwise, I'll end up talking for 20 minutes. But the first component is listen. And anyone who knows me knows that I tend to jump kind of into the deliver mode. So I hear a problem and quickly want to solve it or put my 2 cents in or jump to the conclusion. And organizationally, we know that is not the best way to do it. And we have a mix of team members, some who are just natural listeners, and some who, like myself, who have to learn how to do a bit more of the listening before we can learn and deliver. And for what I found actually worked for me really well is being intentional about the listening. So one of the things that we do, again, when we open a workshop or a community space, is we do a land acknowledgement. We have them on our podcast as well. And the reason I like to do the land acknowledgement to open up the listening and the intentional piece is it helps to honor the history of the land that we're in, and I like to focus on the intent of connecting to people to make the world a better place. And I think when you do that, it helps set your brain into the receiving mode of, okay, I'm going to intentionally listen to the other party right now. When we do group facilitations or even something as simple as trying to figure out the content strategy for our homepage, the first thing that we really need to do is get everyone in the room, all the stakeholders, to be able to listen. And that includes ourselves as the service provider. So James, Rachel, Alana, some of our team members that do the delivery are natural listeners, and they have their own tactics. But that's mine, is to try to take a step back and be intentional about how to listen. Second part of that listening is something I'm really thinking a lot about lately is can we listen digitally online? And I think it's becoming increasingly obvious that the digital tools that we have at our disposal, the social media sites, are designed to build echo chambers. It helps drive their ad revenue, and I'm not critiquing their business model because it seems to be pretty successful for them. But I think we want to build communities, if we want to understand other parties, it's really important that we get together in person or to have long-form dialogues. So one of my favorite activities in this space is to actually join Craig Needle's show on AM 980, and I do that periodically. And one of the interesting dynamics in that show is there's several people, some of whom I've actually blocked on Twitter over the years. I have since unblocked them because online, digitally, we just couldn't get on the same page. We'd end up sniping sound bites at one another and not really having a good dialogue. But in person, you really find that there's more in common with another party than there is different. And I think the more that we listen to other parties, learn more about what they're doing, and we can actually deliver better solutions for our community. So I have real concerns about whether or not digital forums, online forums, because of the way that those platforms are designed and the incentives that they have in them, are good for community dialogue and for building dialogues. I think they're great for getting a message out, a concise message to activate your market, to activate target customers, target people who you want to come work for you. So I'm not saying let's stop using digital tools, but if we really want to listen, I think it's something to think about, that we as humans definitely listen better in person. So with that, I will sign off, but something to think about in your day is how can you open up to be a better listener, both on the project teams that you're working on, if you're on a leadership team, or you're managing or coaching people, how do you listen better to their challenges? It's definitely something I'm working on myself, and I'm grateful for the team that we have here because they've really helped me to learn and continue to evolve that skill set. Thanks so much. Have a great day.